Welcome into Mavericks Today. Harrison Graham and Jeffrey Cooperstein here. On today's show, we're going to answer your questions. A little Mavs rumors mailbag. Dug through some recent videos and found some questions, so we're going to go ahead and dive on in here. Let's start with Don Luka Coop, as he says, I saw Poku from OKC got waived. Should the Mavs sign him with their last roster spot? And he's talking about Alexander Pokusevski, the very skinny big who flashed early in his NBA career, Coop, but has been phased out of the rotation as the Thunder have become more of a contender.
Yeah, the Thunder actually traded up to go draft Pokusevski, one pick above Josh Green there in the 2020 NBA draft. He hasn't worked out, man. People thought he was going to be like the next Porzingis because he had very good ball handling skills and he had a soft touch. But he can't put on any weight, and he is an absolute stick, and just he cannot, play with the physicality of other NBA players. I imagine that Pokusevski will end up back in Europe here before too long. I don't think there's a place for him in the NBA right now. I really don't see it.
Yeah, he just can't really bang in the paint like you said. I mean, he's got good skill. He can shoot the basketball, he can handle like you mentioned, but he's just not really a playable rotation guy. I mean, is he someone that a non-contender should sign to see if he could develop? Like, I'd probably sign him if I was a team like Portland or something.
Yeah,
like
why
that.
not?
But if you're Dallas, there's no minutes for him, so I don't really think he's worthy of that 15th roster spot.
Yeah, and the 15th roster spot is someone that the Mavericks someone should occupy it that could actually provide the Mavericks something. I don't think that Poku could really do that. I think you're going to end up looking at a guy like A.J. Lawson, who has provided the Mavs some spark in the past, who's going to end up with that final roster spot. I just don't see a way for Poku and the Mavs to make sense.
What do you guys think? Would you like to see the Mavs sign Pokusevski, type S for sign or P for pass? I think Coop and I are pretty consistently going to pass here, so let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. Now let's keep the train rolling here at Dallas Mavericks Today. A lot of support from you guys recently. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Coop and I are going to have you covered throughout the home stretch here as the Mavericks gear up for hopefully a long playoff run, and we'll probably do some playoff watch parties too. So stay tuned, lock in, subscribe. Should be a lot of fun.
Yes, this video going out on Sunday, just hours before the Mavericks take on the Pacers. So stay tuned for that, and we'll keep you guys updated with everything Dallas Mavericks.
Samantha, with the way the Mavs are playing, do you think Luka will finally be able to recruit free agents to come to Dallas? I mean, the way they're constructed, Coop, they're not really going to be big free agent players moving forward. It's going to be role player stuff. I mean, 2 years from now, Hardaway is going to be off their books. And, they might trade him this offseason. We'll see. But I would think that aging role players that want to ring chase may want to come here. If Luka and Kyrie can prove they can go on a run together this year.
Right.
It's hard to know exactly what players that looks like. But I don't think, unless you're talking about the LeBron scenario that's been discussed as a possibility, I don't think the Mavs are going to be a team that's big fish hunting the next couple of offseasons.
Yeah, you kind of took the words out of my mouth. Unless it's LeBron, I really don't see the Mavs playing at the top of the free agency ladder. Just the way the roster is constructed and the way that the salary cap's going to work, the Mavericks are pretty much tied up for the next 2 seasons. You have a little bit of flexibility, and you have some tradable deals there with P.J. Washington, with Tim Hardaway, and a couple other guys as well. So they can make some moves. I think if they are to make moves, it will be more so in the trade market rather than free agency. Luka and recruiting is a whole different story, though. I mean, we know Luka hasn't really wanted to do that in the past, but I think he realizes the importance of him being the superstar that he is, that he has some weight, and hopefully he can kind of throw that around and maybe, sway some guys to come here that otherwise wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, the Mavs will be using the mid-level exception, year in and year out to bring in, quality role players in that regard. But other than that, I think you're going to be looking at potential trade options with, guys like Hardaway, Kleba, P.J. Washington, all in that range of players that you could trade. But I'm also not necessarily looking to trade a P.J. Washington either. So
exactly.
We'll see how things shake out the rest of this year before the offseason. Today's show is sponsored by Factor. You want to get the Factor? You want to have the edge? Well, Factor Meals, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, going to have you covered as they have the best and most tasty chef-prepared meals delivered straight to your doorstep, and then you prepare on your own end. Only takes 2 minutes. You put it in the microwave, boom, it's ready to go because these meals are already cooked and prepared. You just have to finish it off on your end. Go to factormeals.com/MavsChat50. That's factormeals.com/MavsChat50. That gets you 50% off. Chicken, steak, different types of meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, protein shakes, dessert, lots of options. You can go calorie conscious, you can go protein plus, whatever you're trying to do with your diet. The best part about Factor is variety and convenience. It's not like you have to go to the grocery store anymore. Get going with Factor right now, factormeals.com/MavsChat50. Troopsy, there was a lot of heat on Jason Kidd's seat as recently as a month ago. What do you think his status is? Definitely think he's, safe, Coop. I mean, if they collapsed and didn't make the playoffs, like say they made the play-in and lost, could that change his status? I'd say it could, but I also think that would be pretty surprising if that happened at this point.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool at this point. There's a healthy amount of pressure on him to perform just because given what the Mavericks have on this roster now and the moves that they made at the trade deadline with Kyrie Irving coming back and being healthy and playing as well as he is. I do think there is some sort of pressure on him. Do I think his job is in danger? No. But should he just be sitting back, relaxing, be like, no matter what I do, I think I'm keeping my job? No, I don't think that's the case either.
And I don't think he'll be doing that because if I'm Jason Kidd, I'm looking at this year as a huge opportunity,
Absolutely.
not to just secure his job status, but to make a run. I mean, we talked about this on Friday's episode that if Kyrie and Luka stay healthy with the role players in place now, you should have the why not us attitude. And it shouldn't be viewed as like some Cinderella story. Like they have two high-profile players that know how to play at the highest level in these big games in the playoffs, and they have a good nucleus of depth and role players. So I think that's the focus for Jason Kidd right now. I don't think he's worrying about his job status. I think he's trying to figure out how he can make sure this team stays hot and goes on a run.
And from an individual standpoint as well, I mean, Kidd has an opportunity to really switch the narrative around him as a head coach. In Milwaukee, it went sour here around year 3, and in Brooklyn, it did as well. Well, the Mavericks are in year 3, and this looks like it's poised to be one of Kidd's best years. Obviously, made the conference finals in year 1, and that'll be hard to top. But I do think that Kidd is putting this team in the right direction right now, and he definitely deserves some credit for that, whether you like it or not. And I think he's going to be here for at least next season, if not the season after. I think he's going to be a mainstay with this Mavericks franchise.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be trending in that direction. How hot do you think Jason Kidd's seat is? It's 2.5. I mean, it's warmer than some other coaches in the NBA, coming off a really bad year last year. But if it was at a 5 or 6 coming into the season, Coop, it's at a 2 or 3 now. It's not 0 or 1. I mean,
it's kind of fluctuated throughout the season.
They're still close enough to that play-in range. I mean, if you're in the play-in and you don't get into at least a first-round series, I do think that could, give new ownership and Nico, at least a moment of pause. But I think it would take a major collapse for the Mavericks to go in a new coaching direction.
And with 26 games remaining, hopefully that is not the case, and the Mavericks are able to avoid the play-in, get into that first round and win the first round, and then who knows what happens after that. I think all bets are off.
Yeah, because even if they go 500, they might be the 7 or 8, but then you have to lose twice in a row.
That would be a bad look.
That, yeah, but my point is that seems pretty unlikely.
Agreed, yes.
But again, if you want to do the half glass empty, in that scenario, that would heat up the seat, I would say.
No doubt.
It's a fluctuating situation, but at this exact moment, I think his seat is pretty darn cool as we shift to the final 25 games or so.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's done a good job with this team so far, man. I know there are obviously some flaws within Jason Kidd's coaching game that need addressing, and we can see it throughout the season. I think for one, obviously, his late game inbound stuff needs to be improved. I think he needs to nail down a rotation and kind of stick to that rather than just playing with guys' minutes. But those are things that you're pretty nitpicky at, and overall, I do think he's done a good job.
And I think he's done a lot better job with the rotations this year than last year. It felt like he was just guessing. And
he didn't know.
If you're guessing as a coach, you're in a bad way.
Absolutely.
It's like a coordinator in football. I'll just run cover 2 this play because I don't know.
Exactly. And it seemed like that was what he's doing. I think this year he does have a much more clear plan. And I think he has the talent and the personnel that he wants to be able to kind of execute his plan from a night-to-night basis.
Yeah, I think that's all valid. All right, he's Jeffrey Cooperstein. We're Harrison Graham. I'm Harrison Graham. Enjoy the game today. Hopefully the Mavs stay hot. Go Mavs. We'll see you guys soon.